welcome everyone to this webinar. Thank you for joining us. We want to run through the analytics maturity model today and discuss about how analytics can help you maximize returns. But let me start by introducing myself. I'll just give you a little brief background. I've been involved with managing technical solutions across geographies, across multiple technologies. I've been working in the IT industry for the past 14 plus years, and the main aim has been enabling solutions to work for clients which fit like a glove, they're tailor-made for clients. Now, I've also been the technology head for a startup, and at Cresco India, I manage sales and services for India, ensuring that our clients have the best possible solutions with successful deployments.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Sanjeev Datta, and I run the practice for Cresco. My job is to ensure that clients get the right solution and they use the right technology to get successful in their analytics solution. And so we put this webinar together based on what we've dealt with our clients and what we've seen over the last few years. So I'll let Hemangi continue with the agenda for today. My background is I come from a technical background, so I've been a developer. I've done over 200 plus implementations with clients here in India as well as in the US. And so specialize in the analytics brand. I am also a published author as well, and so I've written articles and published a book as well in the field of analytics. And so more than anything else, this is my passion, and so that's why I do this on a day-to-day basis. So Himangi, back to you.
Yeah, okay. So I'd quickly like to run through the agenda today. Um, we're going to start with a brief introduction about Cresco. Then we talk about ERP and CRMs that are in use versus analytics and advanced analytics. What is the difference and what you should be really looking at for your business intelligence. Next, we'll run through the analytics maturity model. Now, this is a model that was, introduced by Gartner, but it's pretty much applicable to all analytics. After that, we would like to run you through a client success story for which we won the Outstanding Analytics Solution Award this year, which also managed to save the client over 100 million in a matter of 15 months. It's a very interesting story. And then we talk about how we can help you get started on this journey, how you can take analytics forward in your organization. And lastly, we open for questions.
So I'll just introduce Cresco real quick. So we're an IBM business partner. And we are based out of Dallas in the US. Here in Mumbai, we are working with the IBM team as well as clients in locally in Mumbai as well as outside of Maharashtra as well in their analytics journey. So our background is we help clients with making sure they have the right software technology from IBM, whether they're doing analytics, they're doing cloud or security. We do help with the technical consulting as well. So not just uh, making sure that you procure the right software, but also helping you with the implementation and also help in building the strategy and roadmap for your organization, looking at the business challenges that you're facing. So we primarily work with data science and cloud and security. We also have pre-built solutions that have been deployed at client environments and helped clients save valuable resources. And then we'll also talk about some of the awards towards the end that we have won while we've been engaged in this business. Some of us have been here for over 17 years. So I'm going to go ahead and give it back. Well, I guess I'll just go over some of our clients. These are the clients that we've worked with in the past and some of the clients that we help. All right, Himangi, back to you again.
Yeah. So when we talk about ERPs and what do we think? Most people today think that They have all the data they need, and they can use that data to figure out how they make business decisions. But what is your ERP actually doing? It is just storing your data. It's actually a data collection and a data input repository, right? When you want to do analytics, your ERP is not going to be able to analyze that data. It's just storing it. Now, when it comes to historical trends capture, or analysis, there are limitations that an ERP has. It does not offer advanced analytics if you want to predict what's going to happen. You may argue that your ERP has all the data you need. You can pull it out and you can look at what's happened in the past or what's happening today. But can you predict what's going to happen tomorrow looking at that data? That's not easy unless you use a proper analytics tool. Now, most ERPs that are in the market are either homegrown or they are acquired from some small vendor. Um, of course, we have the bigger ones which are managed and maintained, but the homegrown ones usually they pose a great challenge to maintain, right? Say the people who were involved, the IT team that was involved in the production, the development, and managing that ERP changes over time. It becomes increasingly difficult to access data, to run queries, and get reports in a timely fashion. Having said that, that's exactly what I mean when I say that knowledge is very human centric, because uh, a person who has actually developed the ERP will know what query to run fastest to get possible data. They have knowledge of all the tables inside, all the joins. They know how to get data out the fastest. But you get a new person there, he's going to probably take double the time to get you the same report. Now, what analytics does is it provides you a deeper understanding of your data. It it's not going to come up with some random data of its own. It's looking at your data, but it's giving you better insights. It's telling you about patterns. It's telling you what can happen in the future or what you should do, what corrective actions are needed. And the best part about analytics is it lets you know what you didn't know. When I say that, it sounds really vague, but when we run through the case study, you will know exactly what we mean. Now, what you need today is knowing what you need tomorrow, right? To overcome your competition, to stay ahead in the market, you need to know what you need tomorrow. And that is a competitive edge that analytics offers. So it offers you predictive capabilities, optimization, as well as cognitive abilities.
Yeah, Himangi, just to add to that, I just want to say that there's this 80-20 rule, which basically what we've seen, and there's a lot of research around it, where organizations spend 80% of the time writing or doing more uh, writing of data than doing analysis. And what it should be that 80% of the time should be spent doing your analysis using analytics tool. Unfortunately, those ERPs and CRMs don't give you that. So just as Himangi was saying, ERP systems, they will not give you the historical trends, so you cannot capture that information. And then the competitive edge is in knowing predictive analytics, optimization, and cognitive. So if you are going down that journey, you want to make sure that you have an analytics solution. For example, if you're using, let's say if you're in HR and you are looking to get employee information, you are inputting employee information into a system, but are you able to find out when is that employee likely to leave, or how happy is the employee within the organization? So things like that, the predictive capability is not available today right now in ERP systems, and most actually won't provide you that because it is a totally different technology. From a technical perspective, what happens is your ERPs are very flexible because it's very easy to add joins and more tables over, as time goes on. But what it does is it doesn't allow you to get that quick reporting. And so what we typically do from an ERP to analytics is we compress a lot of those tables, those backend database tables, so that the efficiency and productivity is much higher in doing end user reporting. So here are some examples of what you can produce from the IBM analytics stack that comes out, some of the reports that you can create today, whether it's location analysis or you're looking at, on top you're seeing multiple different tabs of data accessing multiple different departments within an organization. Here at the bottom, you're looking at some scorecards that you have built in to look at your key performance indicators. And then also you can tie those into detailed reports as well. So as you click on those scorecards, it actually gives you detailed information in terms of pivot tables and so on. The nice thing about all of this is built around a centralized a database, right? So the governance is across in the entire organization. And when I say governance, basically what happens is any changes that you're trying to make in one location affect the entire organization. So there is accountability, there is responsibility, and there is also the visibility that everyone is looking at the same data and looking at the same numbers. Even though you might be tied into Excel or spreadsheets, excuse me, what happens is this allows you to pull the same information and have that uh, governance layer, so you're not making decisions at departmental basis, but at a organization standpoint. This is some more graphical representation of the data that you can do very easily. Most of the tools, and myself being in the business for almost 2 decades, I can tell you that the tools have become much easier. So the whole concept of being self-serve, where you don't have to depend on IT, but you can build these dashboards and reports by yourself without having to write code, without having to write SQL, and just using the drag and drop functionality is a huge benefit for organizations because it empowers their end users today. So with that, I think I'm just going to go over some of the successes that we've had. Very interesting. We've actually worked with these different organizations. So we work across government organizations, retail, healthcare, insurance companies, conglomerates, as well as some defense organizations as well, and the banking sector. So what you're seeing over here is how we've used multiple IBM technologies to improve ridership across the Dallas area rapid transit. We used weather data and we were able to make predictions on next day ridership. So how many riders are going to be on the train next day, as well as looking at other technologies that allow us to predict when a machine is going to fail or ticket vending machine is going to fail, and who's the right person, the technician who's available to fix these ticket vending machines. Um, so this story is published on IBM's website. So if you were to go and Google it, you'd find that out. Also, another company based in Holdings used a financial application to control over $2 million in spend that they were doing in external auditors. And uh, they do consolidated financials. So they're a holding company, and they have about 100 companies under them, and how they take data from all these other organizations, whether their balance sheets, income statements, their financial reporting, and then consolidate them at a holding level view. So we've done that. We've actually implemented at banks as well. Uh, Very quickly produce success stories by taking a client that is on Excel or spreadsheets and then putting them into an environment which is again governed, it's centralized, and being able to track that and make sure that the right people are making the right changes, and having a workflow to see who's put their budgets in, who's done their forecasting, and who's done their planning as well. The next one that I want to talk to you about is a social media client, where we've actually helped Tactical Institute use a product called Watson Analytics for social media, where they integrate some of that with their built-in tradecraft. And what they do is they crawl the web, the World Wide Web, the social media websites, and they see what people are saying about negatively about their schools. And what they then do is they capture that information real time and contact the FBI or the police departments in the local area, and have prevented multiple school shootings, yeah, ever since 2013. So, great use of technology, great use of social media, great use of IBM technology, just trying to learn what people are saying about their brand and about different hashtags, if you will, so they can make a big difference for the community. And then also the next one is Fleet Pride, which I will spend a lot more time talking about. But the idea behind this is that we have actually implemented 5 different technologies and saved the client over $100 million in less than 15 months of deploying the solution, including yeah, the business intelligence, predictive analytics, and decision optimization. So Himangi is going to go over the Gartner Analytics Maturity Model next. And why this is important is because not only is this a term that has been coined by Gartner, it's also a terminology that is being used as an industry standard. And we've seen time and time and again, every time you have an organization that is using this method of approach, of going a step-by-step approach, they have had massive successes. So once she's done with that, I'm going to continue talking about a real case that you can also read about on IBM's website. So Himangi, back to you.
Yes, thanks, Sanjeev. Okay, so when we talk about the analytics maturity curve, what do we really mean? Now, Gartner has very nicely described 4 different stages of analytics. Typically, any analysis that you do follows these 4 steps. Um, the first being descriptive. You have data and you want to know what happened. Say something happened, there was some hitch or some problem in production. You want to know what happened, right? Or some report showed some outliers. So you want to figure where was there a loss or where was some more extra money spent. That tells you precisely describes the problem to you, and that is a descriptive stage. Next, you want to know why has it happened. Like something's gone wrong, you want to fix that. You want to know, you want to diagnose the situation. You want to know why did it happen. That's your next stage. Now, to predict something, you want to know something has gone wrong in the past. You found out why it's gone wrong, but you want to make sure that it doesn't go wrong in the future. Or something good has happened in the past, you try to figure out what did I do right for this to happen. That's your diagnostic. And then you want to make sure that the same thing happens in the future. So you want to be able to predict your outcome in the future. That's your predictive stage. Now you're at a stage where you can predict your outcomes. You can make sure that your processes are going fine, your output is as you want, but then you want to make it better. Now, what action do you need to take to make it better? That is your prescriptive stage. And that's like higher up in this hierarchy. Typically, these 4 stages, you know, they can go they can go independently, but we've seen that the best results are when you actually go step by step. So you want to now know um, that descriptive, it's easily understood, right? While advanced analytics, it seems like difficult. It seems I don't know what I'm expecting. I don't know what I'm looking at. You want to know what insights are you missing. If you're only at descriptive, you have your data, but you're not really using it as you could. So you're missing some insight there. Now, that's when is the time to act. That's when you need to start working towards your analytics roadmap to figure what you could do to get to the prescriptive stage. Okay. Now, when I say that you could be missing some data or that some data could be incorrect, what do I mean? Uh, there are organizations who believe they have all the data that they have ever used. They have data captured in some format or the other, but that could be incorrect. It could be misleading, or it could just be missing. When I say missing, if you have data in files which are stored somewhere and you need 5 hours to go through files to find some report from a couple of years back, that's as good as data which is missing. right? You're misrepresenting that data. Are you making decisions based on your gut, or are you actually making informed decisions based on data? That is what we need to figure, and that is your starting point.
So just to add to that, we've actually been working a lot with organizations in the Indian subcontinent as well, and what we've seen is that a lot of organizations, the ones that are doing well, have actually started down the path of descriptive, diagnostic, either predictive. We don't see too many organizations that are doing the prescriptive analytics. And so, just to give you examples of what we've seen, in most situations, I would say 90% of organizations today are complaining about we have missing data, we don't depend on IT. IT is complaining about business not giving the exact requirements. So there's a lot of finger pointing that takes place. And what that leads to is miscommunication, misrepresentation of data, incorrect findings and reportings, and so on. And so, what this analytics maturity model does, it kind of gives it is a roadmap, and it kind of gives some kind of confidence to an organization that you are not alone. If you have 90% of companies across the globe that are in this situation, then you need to know which direction you're heading into. So examples of what happened, which is your operational reporting, right? What's happened today? How much did we sell yesterday? How many of our customers have complained? How many employees have called in and asked for a higher raise? And what are we doing to accomplish that? Why did something happen? So being looking at more trend analysis, looking at historical data and saying, okay, in the past, this is what has happened. Why did it happen? Let's do some investigation. And once I know my operations, I know what happened yesterday, I can very easily predict what's going to happen tomorrow. And when I do that prediction, what it allows me to do is it allows me to get prepared. So anything from being able to say, from a logistics standpoint, right? If I can predict how many shipments or how many orders are going to go through, I can predict, how many resources I will need to finish a job. I can plan ahead whether I'm doing manufacturing, I'm doing supply chain, I'm doing employee retention, I'm making strategic decisions, I'm making tactical changes within my organization based on what I know what's going to happen. So once you've accomplished that, think of it as your astrologer who's going to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow or next year with your life, right? Now at this point you want to look at the prescriptive, where if I know that I'm going to be selling 100 more units as an example on an hourly basis, or I'm going to be having 20 more projects that are going to come my way, or if I'm going to be having a lot more growth within my organization, so the system should tell me what I should do. And the way this works is, if I'm a CFO, I say, look, my growth for next year or the next 2 years is I want to increase my revenue by 10%. Okay, that is it. So if I say keep that as a constant, so keep that 10% revenue growth as a constant, define my variables and my constraints. What are my constraints and my variables? So it could be number of people that I have in my organization, the profit that I'm making, the margins that I'm making, the number of customers that I have, the number of products that I sell. So those become my variables. So keeping the 10% constant, the mathematical models that run behind these tools basically come back and tell the CFO or the analyst that reports back to the CFO that these are a few things that you might need to do, whether it is adding additional resources or reducing the number of, you're selling too many products, reduce the number of products that you're selling, or just being able to expand into a different region within the Indian subcontinent, maybe some states that we haven't yet tackled, and we found out that if we go in that direction, we can make a lot more progress. So these are some of the things that the system actually comes back and telling you. And so that once you have that foresight, you can make those decisions, and you know where you're headed. Once you have that information, then you can move towards more of those uh, cognitive decisions where the system tells you I know your history, I know your today, I know your tomorrow. This is what you should be doing. And then you make that decision. So the question is, where are you today in your analytics journey? And what we've done is we've actually put a few polls out there where we want to ensure that you are making the right decisions and you're not making incorrect decisions based on missing, incorrect, misleading, or misrepresented data. And so what we're going to do is we're going to launch a poll real quick, and you should see that on your screen. There are two polls. One basically asks you where you are in your analytics journey. So we'll give it a few seconds. Once you guys can just submit that poll, we'll move on to the next poll, which again talks about some IBM technology. So let's go ahead and put that out. All right, the polls are coming in. It looks like most of the organization, most of the attendees are in the business intelligence. There are some that are looking at predictive analytics, and some that are looking at the hindsight, which is I don't know where my data is. We'll give it a few more seconds, and then we'll move on to the next poll. Right. Okay. So the next poll is going to be um, around the IBM technology. So are you today using IBM technology or not? And this could be anything from the hardware the IBM provides or the software. So looking forward to hearing back. These polls are very valuable for us because what we do is we then take this information and we try to understand the market as well as try to understand where you are as an organization, so we can target the audience in terms of how we get started with such solutions that where you might show interest, such as in your first poll. So the polls are going to be closed in about 3 seconds, and once that's done, then we can go ahead and continue. All right, so thank you very much once again for that information. The next thing is what everyone has been waiting for, is a success story that we built with a company called Fleet Pride. And Fleet Pride is in the business of heavy duty parts. So what they do is they manufacture parts for trucks and tractors and trailers as well. And so what they do is they're based out of the US. They have over 260,000 parts, or 2.6 lakh parts. They're in 250 locations in 45 states within the US. And they called us and they had a challenge. And the challenge was to be able to increase sales as well as to make into a lean manufacturing, but at the same time provide advanced analytics. So when we walked in, a very competitive team, they basically ran some ERPs and they were getting some reports out of there. But some of the heads within the organization said, look, we know what we know. We want to know what we don't know. Tell us what is available out there and what can my data speak to me. So we ran some technical as well as management consulting workshops and try to figure out the business a lot better. And that's how we start by analyzing an organization, where they are, do a health check in terms of the analytics needs. So what we found was the organization was looking to do some warehouse optimization to ensure that the customers are getting the right product at the right time. And so if you get the product at the right time, you're not going to look for another competitive vendor in the business. So for that, we need to optimize the warehouse. So in the supply chain department, we are quick enough. The next steps that we did was we ensured that the customer is happy, and we're also doing a lot of selling, again, using a combination of supply chain, using a combination of predictive analytics. So we get a little bit more detailed about that, and also descriptive analytics following the Gartner maturity model that Himangi just went over. So their biggest challenge was that they wanted to increase the lead time. So from the time you order something over the phone to the time you move on to buying from the website. So what we did was from gathering all that information, we were able to predict how many people are going to be buying what products based on historical information. So if you're a regular customer and you come very often, we know that you're riding these tractors and these trucks, and the failure of these tractors and trucks will tell us when you'll be coming back. So in their distribution center, we are able to stock enough material, enough uh, parts that we are shipping directly to the customer or to the retail outlet, whereby a farmer can go and pick up parts for his tractor, and a truck operator can go and pick up the right part for the right trucks. So what we were able to do was we optimized their warehouse by going to every warehouse that they have in the organization, and then taking that information, giving them a health check of the warehouse, so that they can not only look at the warehouse and how the warehouse is performing, but being able to drill down to the employee level and try to figure out which employee is being productive or not being productive. And that tells us whether the employee needs more training, or simply this is not the right job for the employee. So once we did the warehouse optimization, we decreased their inventory on hand. We increased their cash flow by about $3 million on a day-to-day basis, and we increased efficiency from 35% to 100%. What that means is, if we see someone walking on the floor of a warehouse and they're not driving a forklift, or they're not carrying something in their hand, they're being inefficient. And so using what is called Cognos Business Intelligence, we were able to produce reports that told the warehouse managers where the inventory is, where we should place them based on historical trends and marketing trends, so that when a manager directs one of the staff to go and get something based on historical trends, the fastest selling items should be closer to the door, the heavier items should be placed lower so you avoid injury, and so on. Once we were able to make warehouse lean, the next question was, please look at the external factors like seasonal information, marketing information, location information, where do people buy from, and tell me how much staff do I need to be able to run my each warehouse. And so labor is expensive, and in most organizations, that's where a lot of your margin is eaten up. So they wanted to increase their margins by doing a proper labor planning. So we built predictive analytics using tools like SPSS and R to be able to tell the organization on a yearly, quarterly, weekly, and daily basis how much staff they need to run their warehouse. And we don't want to see people sitting around idle. Neither do we want to be in a situation where we're short on hands. So what we were able to do was we were able to build a predictive model across the different frequencies, as I mentioned, and giving a 95% strength in predictive capability. If any of you are data scientists, you should know that building in anything over an 80% predictive strength in data science is a very big task. And that tells you how close you are to reality looking at future, right? So this decreased their overtime ratio from 25% to a requested 5%, because in this business, range of 5 to 7% is something that is very acceptable. So this is what we were able to do. Next, what happened was different departments heard about our successes, and we were trying to see where else analytics can help. So then we started saying, okay, we've helped your warehouse, we have helped your your shipping, and we've helped your labor department. Now, how can we increase sales? We've increased margins, but how do we sell a lot more? So in predictive analytics, there are a few things that you can do to make that happen. So the basics are looking at the customer buying behavior. What have the customer bought in the past? Making sure that we are able to segment those customers in a way where, if I know that if for an example is, if you are a driver of a Honda and you are the owner of a BMW and you're the owner of a Porsche, the parts that you buy are going to be very similar. And if I know that if I put you in the bucket of a Honda, or any other vehicle out there, Honda drivers usually come back within 2 years to buy additional brakes, as well as 2.5 months after that, they come back to buy some steering parts. So if I know that I'm talking to you and saying, customers like you have been in this situation and they have bought brake parts, but instead of you calling me back 6 months from now, why don't I sell you the next braking product today so that you have that with you, and when it breaks next time, you don't lose your productivity. You're able to fix the problem right there and then, and you don't have to worry about whether the part exists or it doesn't exist. So using product affinity based on marketing segmentation, we are able to provide recommendations to the customer, and this will work not only in parts but also works in the banking sector. It works in employee retention. It works in other logistics areas as well, where you're, as well as retail, where you're making recommendations on unfulfilled demands. What that did was that expanded their cross-sell ratio. The organization was then able to sell a lot more inventory out, get it out the door, but also increase sales at the same time. And using that cash flow that they had from the warehouse, they were able to buy more stock and sell more stock, thereby increasing their sales. So this entire um, procedure, this entire intelligence, what we call sales intelligence, was based at a SKU level. So at a very low grain of data, looking at every part number, we can predict who is going to buy which part and how much more I can sell. So these are some of the reports that came out of Cognos that is being used very often today within the organization. What they're also trying to find out is, okay, if I am looking at increasing my sales, how do I ensure that my my customer base does not go and buy from my competition? How do I prevent that competitive intelligence from being leaked or someone else gaining from me not being, as an organization, as proactive as I should? So what we found out that customers who were in those buckets and did not call the organization, for example, if you're in the Honda bucket and you did not call for that steering part, there's something wrong about that. There's something weird. It's a weird phenomenon. You should be calling me because my models are 95% accurate. So what happens is, in that situation, the organization then calls directly to the client. Now, it's very expensive to have people call you up and ask you to buy something. It happens to me almost on a daily basis. I get text messages, I get phone calls asking me to buy into a new SIM card or a new banking service or a new mutual fund, for example. And if they don't know me, then I'm just going to put the phone down and hang up. But if they know who I really am, then that phone call is actually worth it. So in this situation, what we were able to do was we were able to make sure that when we call the right customer, when we have that intelligent conversation saying, dear Himangi, you were supposed to call me based on my models and you haven't called me back. So what is the reason why? And then Himangi would say, well, because I'm looking to buy it from somebody else. And that's when we start doing the predictive engines that run and say, what if I give you that market basket analysis? What if I give you that combined two products or three products and give you a discount to increase my sales, but at the same time reduce your time to go and look at another customer? So that's what we did. So we had follow-ups, we understood their purchasing time, we reduced the amount of time it took to sell products, as well as giving the internal team within the organization visualization using IBM Cognos Analytics, so they could visualize and figure out what are they selling, what they should be selling, and what follow-up calls they should be having within the organization. Once we've done all this, right now, this is going into the prescriptive analytics. If you were to Google best kept secret of analytics, you would come across a product called IBM Cplex, and that's exactly what we did. At this point of time, we've done predictive, we've followed the Gartner maturity model. We went and presented it to the client. This is what we can do for you in terms of a prescriptive analytics. So what you can do is you can use it as a scheduling tool. You can use it as a tool that will tell you route optimization. Where is the next best place I should open my retail location? based on where my customers are buying from, where the customers are located, where should I open my next warehouse. So all these, where should I open, where should I do this, the system tells me what I should do, right? So the system looks at your past, your present, and your current situation, and predicts and also tells you this is what you should be doing. So this is what we were able to do. We were able to do some route optimization, some scheduling. We were able to provide the customer with where's the next best location you should be opening your store, because you have a lot more customers in this area. And if the delivery truck goes from point A to point B to point C to the final point D and takes CAB route, then you would save so much more because you're delivering so much more value and quicker, and the customer satisfaction is much higher. So all of these things that we did really helped the organization increase their sales, increase the customer's lifetime value, and make sure that they use the analytics tool correctly, and not only in one area of the organization, but across every different department. Now we have their logistics using it, their sales team using it, their HR is looking to do predictive analytics, their marketing team is looking to do some predictive analytics as well, and using data science. And this is exactly what our core focus is on, right? So how do you get started as an organization? How do we help? What does Cresco do to your company, and how do we help? A few things. So we follow the analytics maturity model, as we've discussed. We come to your organization, we have deeper conversations as to where you stand today. Are you proactive? Are you reactive? Are you missing data? Are you misleading? Or are you being in a situation where you've done business intelligence, you're away from the ERP and the concept that ERP is my data analytics tool, which is completely not what it is meant for. Um, and then we help you with doing some workshops. Are you prepared to even go down the analytics journey? If you're not prepared, what are the steps that you need to do to get to that preparedness, right? How do you get to that position? We also help with MVPs, which is a minimally viable product. What this is not a proof of concept. Okay, these tools are anywhere between 20 to 60 years old. They have had over millions of implementations across the globe. So there is no point of doing a POC unless you're doing something around AI or blockchain, which is also something that we specialize in. What an MVP does is an MVP takes your data, takes our skills and the IBM technology, and puts the three together and says, okay, let's try to build you based on your business challenges that we've seen in the prior 2 points. Let's come up with a solution that is your low hanging fruit. How can we impact your business? Whether you're looking at employee retention, logistic changes, retail improvement, knowing your customer better, right? Whatever you choose, we will build a model for you with your data, but the model will be about anywhere between 50 to 70% ready. And what that does is that allows you to realize what the cost of the software is, what the cost of the services is, and you can predict the total cost of ownership of your solution to solve that specific business problem. And then we also help you with not only that problem, if you solve that problem using technology, where else in your organization can you apply this technology? Then we'll help you with work with IBM and help you with procuring the right licenses. So we help with that as well. And then building the solution and also supporting you. So these are the ways that we, a very high level of how we get started. Um, Himangi, you want to talk about humming sales real quick?
Yes, thanks, Sanjeev. So we have a solution called Humming Sales, which we have developed. It's our own IP. So what it does is it increases customer lifetime value, as in your time to market reduces because a lot of the work has already been done. It helps you understand your customers' buying patterns, and it's very competitively priced. It uses the IBM technology, but it saves you a lot of money too. Now, there is price optimization across organization portfolios, and Since it's a pre-built solution, we offer you on-prem as well as on cloud. If you're comfortable hosting it on the cloud, you can do that. If you want it in your premises, you can have the on-prem option. And the best part is that since it's developed on IBM technologies, it uses the data science experience, the data science technology that IBM offers on cloud, and gets the best and the latest analytics tools available at an extremely competitive price. Um, if you want to know more about humming sales, you should contact sales at crescointernational.com. I have the email address right there at the bottom. Sanjeev, do you want to take over now?
Yes, so thanks, Himangi. I just want to, we're coming towards the close of our presentation, and we have a few minutes left. So I just wanted to very quickly go over some of the awards that we've won. As a company, we've been engaged with numerous clients, and not only that, we've actually also this year, I think, which is the IBM conference in Las Vegas, was a year that not only did we win awards as a company, but also our clients won awards. As you can see a screenshot over here, IBM this year gave out 3 awards for client excellence and transformational. We won 2 of the 3 awards, going towards Business Analytics Award, where we took an organization called GameStop, and we were able to make them into more of a um, self-serve business intelligence where they trust their data and the business is not dependent on IT as much in building their own analytics. And the next one is Data Science Award for Fleet Pride, where what we just discussed on the organization numerous benefits, including financial, as well as made them a much more profitable organization. So we're in the business of making organizations aware of the technology out there, aware of the analytics maturity curve, and also walking them through the journey to ensure that they get the maximum value of what they buy, right? With that, I guess we'll just leave it for any Q&A. So there is a chat bot that you can type questions at the bottom. If you have any questions, feel free to chat and send those messages out. Otherwise, you have our email address over here, info@crescointl.com. You can also visit our website, which is www.crescointl.com. And if you don't have any more questions, we'll give it a few minutes, and then we will end the call. Some of the questions that I'm seeing coming up right now. Yes, this is a recorded um, uh, webinar, and this will be posted on our YouTube page. I highly recommend you guys to go to our website, and on the top left corner, click on the YouTube page. So in our YouTube page, there is a lot of videos that will allow people to access uh, technologies that we have discussed, see how they are done. Just 2 to 3 minute long videos. You can look at product managers within IBM. They're interviewing with us and talking about technologies and roadmaps and so on. So really good information on our YouTube page. But again, if you have any questions, I don't believe you can talk on this line.
In case you have any questions, you can even get in touch with IBM client reps, and you can, as Sanjeev mentioned, write to info@crescointernational.com. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for attending, and we look forward to working with you guys and helping your organization. This concludes the webinar. Thank you.